We're about to land, which means it's almost time for what can sometimes be the most nerve-wracking part of this journey, which is the border crossing. I've spent 15 years coming up with all kinds of kit to keep me out of jail where I'm not wanted, and in this bag I have all kinds of high-tech gizmos and doodads and stuff. But sometimes the most basic equipment is the best, and in this greasy, brown, crumpled paper bag is my favorite way to stay safe in places where I'm not welcome.
My journalist's arsenal ranges from the very basic to some very cool tech. Now, obviously, when I travel, I will keep my regular wallet with me. It has my ID, it has my credit cards, but I will also use a dummy wallet just to kind of throw off pickpockets. I'll also use this kind of belt. So this belt has a pretty nifty secret compartment where you can keep important documentation, you can keep your spare cash there, and it stays safe. That brings us to electronic devices. These are the things I bring. These are the same things a tourist would bring, but with a twist. They're not actually mine. These devices, if you look at them, they have social media installed, but they're not my personal account. So there's nothing that can compromise me in this. There's nothing that can compromise my sources. I traveled to Russia in 2012 and the authorities pulled me over and wanted to look at my devices. I could say, here, be my guest, knock yourself out. They opened it, they took a look, they didn't find anything compromising, they gave it back and I was on my way. It's great. These next pieces of kit are about doors and entryways, keeping you secure, oftentimes in your hotel rooms. There have been a ton of examples where I just want to have a good night's sleep. I've been in terrible motels that are filled to the gills with Nazis, who are partying, who are raving, who maybe don't like me very much. Nothing can ruin an assignment or a reporting trip faster than not being able to sleep. The first item is this Addalock. It's basically an extra lock for your door. These days, a lot of hotel rooms have digital locks. They have locks that you have to use an access code to get in or a key card. These things can get hacked, people can get access to them. This is just a super analog piece of kit that can only be opened from the inside, and it just keeps you safe. You put this on, you have a good night's sleep. Another piece of kit that's kind of similar to the Addalock is this thing. It's a doorstop alarm. This is basically a wedge that goes under your door. It has a trigger, and if someone's trying to get into your room from the outside, they'll set this off, and hang on, I'll show it to you. It starts a really, really loud howling sound, and yeah, you just get warning. Maybe they'll run away. It's great. But the door isn't the only way people can get into your room. They can also get into your room via your devices. The phone in your pocket, the camera in your pocket, the microphone in your pocket can become 24-hour live feeds to whoever bought this spyware. You gotta shrink the attack surface. When I land, I run a reputable VPN straight off. I kill my Bluetooth. I kill my AirDrop. I don't access public Wi-Fis, and I'll sometimes just throw a piece of tape over my laptop's camera, but my phone is trickier because I need the camera and my phone to take photos when I'm in the field, right? So what I do instead is I get these sliding phone covers, so I can just slide this off the lens when I need it to take photos, slide it back on when I want my privacy. It's great. You can also get these sliders for your front-facing camera. You just slide them off when you use biometrics to open your phone, which reminds me, you should not be using biometrics to open your phone. Sometimes that can be used against you. You know, the cops, the authorities can hold the phone up to you and force you to open it that way. Switch your biometrics off, use a passcode instead. Just another layer of security. So instead of tinfoil, these next steps are maybe a little extreme, but they can be really helpful. So we all know that you should never travel without condoms. And for journalists, that also includes e-condoms. That's what we call these data blockers. They look like USB charging dongles, but the connections inside are disconnected, so power flows but no information. Why does that matter? Well, because in a lot of places, authoritarian places like China and Russia, plugging your phone into charge at an airport kiosk or wherever can be risky. So hackers call this sniffing. It's basically like eavesdropping, but for your device's electronic handshake. You think you're getting a charge, but meanwhile someone's reading your clipboard or probing your apps or installing spyware on your device. So that's why I carry these data blockers, or I'll carry a battery pack so I can charge that in the wall and use that to charge my devices. So this next piece of kit is really cool. It's basically a tinfoil hat for your computer. It's great. It is what's called a Faraday bag. Now, this is just basically a bag that cuts off any and every electronic signal going in and out of your device. Sometimes when you go to a movie theater, you notice that your phone all of a sudden doesn't have any service. That's because the movie theater is a big Faraday cage. It blocks all cell service so you don't disturb the movie. That's what this bag does too. It blocks every single signal going in and out of your phone. There's nothing that can go wrong. It's just a bag and you slip your computer into it and it just goes dark. These things come in handy when you're in a place where you really feel that you might be under surveillance. I've been to Gaza and the West Bank. I've talked to all kinds of activists that want to stay safe. They want to stay under the radar. Israel has a pretty advanced spy network. So this is just, there's no way of getting to your devices when they are inside this bag. Okay, so this next piece of kit is really cool. This is as close as you can get to like spy gear. It's great. This is a pen, obviously I've used a pen before, but it's also a microphone. And these things come in handy when you go to places where people don't necessarily want to be seen talking to journalists. I've used this in Russia, I've used this in DRC, I've used this in all kinds of places where I'm talking to people, there might be secret police around, there might be regular police around, and you don't want to make it obvious that you're a journalist interviewing someone. If you bring a phone, you know, that can obviously be a recorder. If you bring a dictaphone, don't bring a dictaphone, that's a dead giveaway. These things, they just look like regular pens. You can use them as a microphone. You can even like plug in a little microphone in them. They have an SD card with, this one has 64 gigs, which is hours and hours and hours of content. If you want to stay super innocuous, you can write with it and take notes while you talk, or you can just put it in your pocket and it looks like a regular old pen. It's really, really great. And it's also super cool. So every interview I do or picture I take obviously lives on a drive. And sometimes you're in places where, like we talked about, you don't trust the Wi-Fi. It's hard for you to upload it onto the cloud. So sometimes you need to take the footage, the interviews with you physically. And that can be scary. Bringing a big old hard drive can raise some red flags. So for that, we have a few options. This one looks like a regular key fob. It looks like a regular car key. This one is a Mercedes. I don't own a Mercedes, but whatever. But it's a hidden USB drive. So you can bring your footage out on that one. This one here looks, you know, at first glance like a credit card, but it has a hidden USB drive. So that might make it easier for you to bring your footage out of these places. So this blue drive is my very last resort. It is an iron key. It has an access code that you need to access the files. If you punch in the wrong code 10 times, it initiates a self-destruct sequence that nukes the files. I can initiate that myself. Again, you will lose all your files, but at least it might keep you out of jail. Sometimes you have to surrender your drive. There's just no way around it. And what I'll do then is, in advance, I'll have created something called a hidden partition, a hidden password protected partition. Now that's a hidden part of your drive where you keep all your sensitive information, and the visible part of your drive, I'll put, you know, regular nonsense. I'll put photos, just so that it looks like a normal drive. There are a ton of ways to do that online. There's a ton of tutorials on how to do it. When I use my Mac, I'll use Terminal. So this single line builds a 20 gig AES 256 encrypted container called Field Notes. Now, if they really know what they're doing, they can still spot it. Like if they have the skills to do that, they can do that, which means the real sensitive files I'll keep on a drive that I can self-destruct if I want to. Okay, so this brings me to my last bit of kit. It is by far the most analog piece of kit I have, but it's also the best to really keep me safe. I keep it in this greasy, gross paper bag that no one, frankly, wants to touch. It is not a day-old bagel, although that can also come in handy in a tight spot. It is this. It is a regular receipt. They are printed on something called thermal paper, which makes them so easy to dispose of. I will write sensitive information on these, meeting places, phone numbers, names, whatever. And if I need to dispose of them, I can just light them on fire, poof, away they go. You really can't get any safer than that. So in the end, survival, staying safe out in the field, isn't about the flashiest gear. It is about using the right equipment at the right time. Gear gets me seconds, minutes. Doing my homework gets me hours and days. It gets me home safe. I will lean on locals. I'll lean on my colleagues. I'll dress in a way that lets me blend in. I write my important notes on scraps of paper that the wind can carry away. In the end, it's all about staying invisible so that me and my story can get out safe.